Welcome to Viva La Visionary, the podcast that celebrates the innovative ideas and mindsets of entrepreneurs and visionaries. Join your host, Coach Bob Schittefeld, as he dives into inspiring stories and practical insights from trailblazers who are changing the game. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned leader, this show is your source for motivation and creativity. Let's embark on this exciting journey together.
Hi there, Coach Bob here, the host of Viva La Visionary, our podcast to, for, about, and with visionaries. Very excited to have Kelly Seidel with us today. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Great. So let's jump in. So you are a visionary, correct? It's kind of like, hi, Bob, I'm a visionary. Hi, Bob. So I appreciate that. When did you realize that you were a visionary? Last week, when you were 2, somewhere in between?
It's probably when I started the forum and going to Summit, realizing there's other people like me. Yeah, just recently, because wearing so many hats, I sit in the visionary seat and I always have, but
Right.
getting a chance to really letting that inner visionary out and watching others do that is quite amazing. And just listening to people and yeah, I would just say in the last 2 years.
Awesome. So you grew your business. You wanted it to be, I'm sure, a little bit more fun, a little bit more productive, a little less stress. So I'm sure EOS having a business process helped. I find what a lot of people is, we talk a lot about, let go of the mind. And a lot of people are like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? As you know, we're talking about who we're supposed to be, and that's ourselves. And so it's been fun to watch you accept that and move forward and grow. It's amazing. So that's awesome. So I'd like to start with another simple question. Why are you on this planet? How do you want to be remembered? I like to start small.
Yeah. I think I'm just here to give back and just love on people. I love doing what I do and just making the world a better place with ice cream. It's just a lot of fun making people smile and happy. Working as a nurse, I made people happy in other ways, but this is just a different feeling. I don't know, just making the world a better place.
I love that. And
Yeah.
as you know, I'm a ice cream snob, and I've told you that. And so most of your locations are in Central Florida, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and again, so if anyone's in Florida, check out Kelly's Ice Cream. And not only is it really good, authentic, real ice cream, and I've told you this before, Kelly, but I took my family, so 4 tough critics. And then my brother lives down there, and they're tough critics. So not only was the ice cream great, but it was so cool to walk in and have 2 teenagers, and again, I'm trying not to judge, but 2 teenagers that smiled, welcomed us in, were attentive, served us with a smile. I mean, that was a big part of the experience. Congratulations for creating a culture and an environment, not just to have good ice cream, but to welcome people in and have that experience. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. It's always a work in progress.
That's true. So now that you recognize that you're a visionary and you're starting to be more in that visionary seat, how would you define what are some of the roles and responsibilities for us as visionaries?
I think leading the team and just culture, going back to culture, is such a huge component. My favorite thing, I say to the company, and just getting that vision out there and sharing that with them. And then I think really importantly, we have a young team, but showing them how they can be involved in the future and what that looks like. And from small roles to big roles, we have a lot of people that grow and develop with us. So I like to showcase those things at say the company and give it good examples. But just my roles as a visionary is just to lead and be creative and give empathy as well, but just overall just steering the company in the right direction and making sure that we're also our 10-year target is a big courageous goal, but also setting up smaller milestones that are accomplishable, not something that's just crazy off the charts that we won't be able to accomplish.
I love that. Do you mind sharing your big, hairy, audacious goal, your 10-year target?
Yeah, our 10-year target is to be like the Blue Bell of Florida. So we want to be the Blue Bell of Texas, but we want to be the most recognized ice cream in the state of Florida.
That's awesome. I love having that vision. I know in the past when I would share a big vision, people are like, "You're crazy," and there's so many things. But it's if we don't imagine this, how do we know where we're going? So I love that you have something that you believe in. That's awesome. So how do you? And this may be a tougher question, but it's hard enough I've found for myself and other visionaries to create a culture with our full-time employees. What is your average tenure of your employees, with it being a lot of teenagers? Is there a lot of, just because they're coming and going, is there a lot of
Yeah, we hire up in the spring and the summer, and then some go to college, and we
Right.
do get a lot of return staff. It's challenging, training when people only work 2 to 3 days a week, but just leading by example, making sure that we have a firm foundation in all of our shops, and just having them ask questions. Like I know a lot of places you can't
Well,
ask questions, or it's not like a
right.
discussion, and like everyone has everyone's number. Like it's always like just ask a question and just communication. Communication is key. We communicate in multiple different ways. And also, I think the biggest thing nowadays is they want to know the why. Why are we doing this? Or what's the why involved? That's so important so they can support your goal in getting there. Like, for example, in February, we did Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, and it's we raised money for childhood cancer. And
Right.
so we did it all month long and we raised money, but like they need to understand the why and why that's so important to us and me. Was a nurse in pediatrics, so I understand where that money is going to and support. So I think that's a big one as well is the why.
Well, congratulations again. It's hard enough to have full-time seasoned employees to get it. And you've created a culture
Hmm.
where the people come in. And again, I love it's so big on getting them to ask questions. So having that safe space. I used to, in my first business, I had about 150 employees, and twice a year I would go interview probably half of them and just say, so what do you do? Why do we do it that way? Would you do it any different? And again, not being doing an end run, but just
Hmm.
asking. So many people are like, well, that's how we've always done it. And it's like, okay, but if you could decide, what would it be? They're like, oh, I would do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, share that.
Hmm.
But that
Yeah.
culture of trust, I love that. Congratulations. So what's one lesson you've learned as a visionary that's really made a difference in your life or in your business? Either something you've done or been or got rid of. So what's one thing that as you kind of look at the last couple of years to say, boy, when I did this, this made a huge difference in my life or my business?
I think just like working on myself. I can't lead others without doing the work on me. And then just like, I've had a coach in the past, but honestly, like Summit and the forum are just incredible. Like what an amazing outlet of people to talk to. And I've like learned and grown so much in the past 2 years and just giving that opportunity for yourself, because sometimes it's lonely in a visionary seat. It's lonely in that like owner's box of just like, oh, but got to do everything for everybody else. But like I'm gonna suffer, and the business is gonna sink if I don't do that work for myself or take days off or do all those things. So important.
So I know for me and a lot of visionaries, there's the guilt that comes around it and say, well, wait a minute, if they're all working so hard, why should I be doing this? It's like, and I love the line, happy wife, happy life, but I've kind of changed that. No offense to my wife, because again, that's what it's all about, but it's happy visionary, happy life. I mean, so, and
Hmm.
I say that humbly, but if I'm not happy, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way, maybe I do, but hopefully not. But it's like, if I'm stressed and I'm not taking care of my relationships at home or my health or my passions or my dreams, all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy or whatever that was in The Shining. What, I guess my question is it hard? What would be your recommendation to people to say, well, I'll get to that once we hit a certain goal? I mean, so it's again, happy visionary, happy life. Any comments on that? Because I think that's aligning to what you were saying.
Yeah, I actually asked that question a few months ago about like, hiring X, Y, and Z, and someone's like, just do it. You're gonna do it. Just do it. Like it's not gonna happen if you don't do it. Like
Right.
whatever it is, whether it's hiring a person or it's doing a thing or taking the time off or just do
Right.
it. Because like I look back and like how many years I didn't do it and like how the business could have suffered and we could have grown faster or whatever it may be. But it is a lot of guilt because it's like, oh, all this, because like the one thing I struggle with a lot is like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and it really is. Like,
Yes.
my husband and I are in the business together, but it's still like my name's on everything, and
Right.
it's really really difficult. But yeah, I think yeah, just do it. Like not to be Nike or anything like that, but like just if you don't take that time, then like you're gonna crack and things are gonna crumble.
I love that. And again, another benefit to taking time to take care of myself and figure out who I am is that's a way to let go of the vine, to say, you know what, I'm going to be gone for a couple hours or a couple days. And that's a chance for them to say, hey, I trust you. And to
Mhm.
say, so step up. And it's amazing how if I do delegate something that it takes me 4 hours and I despise it and I want to go home and go to bed after, or if I delegate it, someone does it in 15 minutes and they love it, I now have time to either take care of myself or grow the business. And that's a cool opportunity. Love that.
Yeah.
So, what's one of the biggest opportunities, I like to call it, that you're working on as a visionary, either in your life or your business? So, what's kind of a challenge or an opportunity that you're going through personally or professionally as a visionary?
Yeah, we're opening up a new projection facility like within the next like 6 weeks or so. And this has been like a 3-year project So it's finally coming to the end, but now we're changing how we make ice cream essentially, and going from like 300 square feet to 8,000 square feet. So it's a huge leap, huge change. Excited for the challenge. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time. And it's hard. Like I'm having a hard time, like, okay, like I need to do this, I need to do that. And I sit in other seats as well.
Right.
But this is taking the main focus. That is like a professional. And then personally, we moved out. I got some land, and part of our like 10-year goal is to have a cow to cone. And so we got some land, we have some animals. Thing is a cow. And
Right.
so that's like a huge, like it's crazy. That's our next like endeavor is kind of tapping into agriculture a little bit. So kind of both sides. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's
I
fun.
love it. And so now, did you come up with the term? So we're big organic eaters. So, from
Mm,
farm to table or fork to or whatever. So did you come up
mm.
with cow to cone?
I don't know if I came up with it. I forgot where it came from. We were visiting a dairy and they made their own ice cream. And I was like, oh, like cow to cone. And it's kind of fun. So,
So
um,
that to consider is, again, I love things like that. That it's like that to me describes like, wow, that is so cool. So, and again, that's
mhm,
something that a visionary came up with that's catchy and it kind of says what you're doing.
yeah,
How many ingredients do we have from this place in our ice cream? And we have 5 or whatever it might be,
mhm,
and it's all natural.
yeah,
I love it. Are you going to name
yeah.
your?
Oh, I'm sure they'll get a name. Yeah, yeah,
I just think of like
yeah.
Elsie. When I think of cow, what do I think of? So that's a cool opportunity. Name your
I'm
cow.
sure. I'm sure one of my kids will name it. So I don't
Right.
think I don't get that choice.
Love that. How many kids?
We have 3 kids.
3 kids. And how
Yeah.
old?
2, 5, and 7.
5 and 7. And
Mhm,
again, even like I talk about being a happy visionary, it's like, again, I just, I like to have fun. And when I start a business, it's exciting, but then I'm in the business and I'm way away from my family, or I come home and I'm anxious or upset. And boy, that's just no way to live. And so that's where to take care of myself. And my kids are a little bit older, as you know, and boy, I'm so glad that I did not overly work and again took care of myself and it was around my kids. So, a quick question around like how is it different to parent as a visionary versus someone else? And I've never thought about this myself, but
never thought about that before. I don't know, because I've never not like even, we had kids like a few years after we started the business. So
right,
I don't know. And I'm not sure. Like it's definitely challenging for
right,
sure. But I don't know. I feel like as a visionary, you like think outside the box and I try to walk, they're younger, as a 7-year-old, I try to walk through some ideas on stuff like school projects and stuff of different things. I think she may think like me a little bit, in like the entrepreneur, like spirit of just like creativity. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that at all. I mean, very different because my husband's definitely part visionary, but we
right.
parent like a bit differently, just in this, just like realm of just like being parents. I haven't really
Right.
thought about that too much.
Well, and I'm thinking about it as we're talking about it, and a couple things come up. Jill Young, who who's amazing coach and amazing leader, and she talked about coaching magic, and she helped me to realize. It makes sense, but one of my roles as a visionary is to be a coach, and that's for
Mhm.
my employees, next generation, but also to my kids. And it's not necessarily to coach them to be a visionary; it's just to coach them in what is vision and what's your vision. So again, your kids are younger, but even just to ask questions and listen. And as we talked about,
Mhm.
excuse me, at the last summit, it was to unlearn, unattach, and unleash. That is still resonating with me so much of unlearning how I thought I was taught. And then I've been teaching my kids, I'm like, that didn't make sense for me or them. And helping them to say, so where do you want to be in 10 years? So your big, hairy, audacious goal,
Mhm.
again, that's been such a great question for my kids and have my daughter switch from mechanical engineering to elementary ed in 3 years into University of Michigan. And we're like, what are you doing? And at the end of the day, she was avoiding a midlife crisis. She knows who she is. And she was like, why not now? Like you said. And so she's like, I want to help kids. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's amazing. And so I think that's a way that I'm a visionary in my life. And even Cheryl and I, my wife and I, it's like when we plan a trip, I dream like, wow. And she's like, okay, let's figure that out. Talk about not just being a visionary in our seat or in our business, but we're visionaries in our lives. And it's all right. Well, very cool. Well, as you know, our rally cry is Viva La Visionary. And what does that mean to you?
I think Viva La Visionary is just like showing your true color, showing your true self, and just like don't being not being afraid of being a visionary or just like letting your ideas out. I feel like a lot of the time, sometimes we're just like hushed down or like don't worry about that sort of thing, but just like putting a stance out there, especially being a female too in like the business world, is can be challenging at times. And just like, they may not want to hear what you have to say, but I'm still going to say it.
Right. No, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that has been such a coming together of so many visionaries who, as we are growing our business, we do run more effectively with process and structure, and yet we can't lose the visionary. And a lot of times I feel like us visionaries are kind of shoved aside, and not on purpose, but for us to be ourselves regardless. Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. Well, any other parting words for visionaries? Love talking with you and love watching your growth. Any other final thoughts for visionaries out there?
I can't think of anything that I didn't mention. The biggest thing too that I have in the past couple of years is that I've never been a big reader, but reading the books that you've recommended and everyone's forum have just been incredible and really like inspired me to just like, work on myself and share with the team and just like lean on that as well.
I love that. You bring up another role, I think, is we're learning. So learning about the marketplace, learning about our customers, learning about ourselves. So however we do that, and it could be reading, it could be listening, it's sharing with each other. So there's another great role and responsibility. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I'm excited. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm going to go have ice cream. I love that. So it's so great to know you and to learn and grow with you. And I appreciate your time and your wisdom. And we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for tuning in to Viva La Visionary. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found inspiration in our guest stories. If you loved what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and share the podcast with fellow dreamers and doers. Join us next time as we continue to explore the limitless possibilities of visionary thinking. Until then, keep dreaming big and taking action. Your vision matters.